Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, SIL insulted my kids so I exposed her lies. Tell the HOA my kid's too loud? Okay, deal with him some more. They are my fishhooks and I'll dry them where I damn well please. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. SIL insulted my kids so I exposed her lies. SIL is the kind of mom that always has to one-up other kids. She constantly talks about how her kids are smarter, taller, faster, etc. than her friends' kids. She literally bragged about them peeing more than her friends' kids when they were babies, lol. It was worse when my husband and I had our twins. Suddenly everything was a competition that her kids always won. One of my girls rolled over at 4 months, her son had rolled over when he was just a week old. The twins both took their first steps around 13 months, her daughter was running at 4 months. She didn't actually start walking until around 16 months. She even changed the weight of her kids' birth weights, which makes them both heavier than the current heaviest newborn in America. It's so weird that she feels the need to tell such obvious lies, especially to people who know she's lying because they were there when her kids were small. I got annoyed when she went from lying about her own kids to telling me there is something wrong with mine. The girls are a few months shy of 2 and they're both healthy, on track and hitting their milestones. SIL has become obsessed with the idea that there is something wrong with them because they're not speaking in long sentences. Of course they're not even 2. They're both developmentally on track, but she insists that her children were speaking in 5 to 6 word phrases by 18 months. Spoiler, they were not. Honestly, her son is almost 7 and I can still barely understand a word the kid says. My husband and I ignored her, but she took it too far when I got a call from her friend who works in early intervention who was under the impression I was very concerned about my children. We talked and her friend confirmed that yes, they are on track and no, there's nothing to worry about. I finally lost my patience. Hey, her kids are breaking almost every record there is, and that should be celebrated. We had dinner with my husband's family on Saturday, kids were in another room, and I decided it was the perfect time to give her my gift, a booklet I had printed and laminated called the White Claw Book of World Records. I printed all the supposed milestones of her kids, complete with photos and info of the actual world record holders now that they had been pushed to second place. She flipped through the first couple of pages, went beet red and called me an asshole. Her husband took it from her and got through the first page before laughing hysterically and asking her why the hell she was still lying. Apparently, it was not the first time they'd talked about her lying about their kids. She stormed out but texted me later that night and asked why I'd humiliated her when all she'd ever tried to do was help me get my kids the help they needed, but if that was how I wanted to treat her then she'd stop. So I guess it's a win for me. Tell the HOA my kid's too loud? Okay, deal with him some more. So I went to visit my mom yesterday and she told me this story. My brother, 9M, likes to play with other boys on the block. They usually play soccer or bike races outside in Fortnite or FIFA 22 online, all this during the afternoons/evenings after they're done with homework. They can be pretty loud, but their ages 8 to 12. The neighborhood my mom lives in has something similar to an HOA. They have a representative and they have to pay fees, mostly for security and surveillance even though it's very safe, and the rep is friends with my grandma who also lives there. So on a Thursday the rep calls my mom to tell her that someone complained that the kids were being too loud and it was too late for them to be alone outside. Mind you, it was like 7:30 p.m. They don't have school the next day, the street is pretty illuminated and has cameras basically on every light post, also, the neighborhood is pretty much gated all around. My mom calmly told rep to ask the person complaining to call her directly because she was actually outside speaking with the other kids' parents as they were watching them and this is a family-friendly neighborhood. Rep started getting defensive and said that she didn't want to cause conflicts and making up excuses, and that was that. Later on, Rep was chit-chatting with my grandma and said her nephew, who lives a few houses from my mom's, was having trouble with work because there's too much noise outside, so mom knew that he was the one complaining. Thing is, he's basically fresh out of college, which means that he hosts parties from Thursday to Saturday or just blasts his stereo while drinking alone until 4 to 5 in the morning when he passes out drunk. Kinda hypocritical if you ask me. Cue my mom asking the boys to play right in front of his house and yell as loud as they can. My brother's curfew is 8 p.m. so he can get a good night's sleep, but my mom, and the others' parents, extended it to 10 p.m. because they didn't have school the next day anyway. The dude never complained again, but my mom did report him every time his speaker was on after midnight. He eventually stopped except for a party here and there and all was well. The end. Edit: the problem isn't the complaint in itself, it was that the same dude who plays loud-ass music 3 nights a week till 5 a.m., thus disturbing all the neighbors and their sleep schedules, and goes unpunished because he has family in the HOA, has the gall to ask for others to quiet down when others have asked him the same, and he responds by being louder. I get that kids can get very rowdy, and I know my brother is, but when asked to be more quiet, he does accommodate, and so do his friends. I guess if a 9-year-old can be quiet when asked to be and a grown-ass adult can't, the problem aren't the kids' parents. Edit 2. I understand that my mom was petty AF for how she reacted, but this sub is indeed called Petty Revenge. They are my fishhooks and I'll dry them where I damn well please. A guy I know had a small cabin for hunting and fishing, and he kept it locked when he wasn't there because he had some belongings inside. The cabin kept getting vandalized, and when he called the police, they said that there was really nothing they could do. A few weeks later, he called the police and reported another break-in and said that there was blood all over the cabin. When the police got to the cabin, they found that he nailed fishing hooks along the perimeter of the inside of the cabin windows. They told him that he couldn't set up traps to catch people like that and he could be charged with bodily harm. The old guy said, "Officer, those are my fish hooks and I don't want them to rust. I will dry them where I well please." The break-ins stopped after that. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.